Do we got our mics on?
All right. Okay, it's 6:30 and I'll call, or 6:31, 6:32 now. I'll call the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting to order of Leon Valley, and we'll do the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. And Mr. Gallardo, if you would take the, or determine a quorum.
Yes, sir, we have quorum, and I'll go ahead and take roll.
Okay, that'd be great.
Okay. David Perry?
Here, present.
Andrea Roof?
She has informed us of her absence. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Abraham Diaz?
I did not hear from Mr. Diaz, so.
Nor did I.
Okay.
Donnie Britt? Olin Yarnell?
Present.
Eric Mata?
Present.
And Russell Hernandez?
Present.
And do we currently have alternates that we need to account for? Okay.
No, we don't. At this moment, all our alternates are vacant.
Okay.
So our city secretary is working with the mayor on filling those.
And Mrs. Karen
Vacancies.
Lockhart just reached out to us that she was going to
Correct. Yes.
resign from the committee.
As of yesterday.
Okay. So at this point, okay. So Mr. Diaz isn't here, so we'll say what, I didn't hear from him. I don't know if you said you didn't hear from him either?
Correct.
So, okay. And I forget what the new ordinance requires, but just wanted to make that known for the record. So there's clarity on that. All right. I'll entertain a motion on the minutes if we've had a chance to look at them. I don't see any issues. Mr. Yarnell, you see anyone else?
I make a motion that we accept the minutes as presented, as printed.
I'll, looking for a second on that.
I'll second.
Okay, very good. If you want to turn on your mic and get that on the record.
I'll second.
All right, very good. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? Nope. Ayes have it. All right, so our first agenda item, let's see, old business discussion and summary of possible recommendations for updating and amending Chapter 15 zoning, Article 1502, Zoning Ordinance Division 7 Permitted Use Table. Mr. Gallardo?
So, Mr. Chairman, so basically that is old business. There's really nothing new to show. So if you guys will remember, in the previous meeting that we had, last month's meeting, I provided you with a copy of the recommendations that we had. And so we were tasked with looking over the permitted use table to ensure that the recommendations that you made were included by myself on that version. So having said that, sometime in the middle of next week, you'll be receiving an updated version, which is going to exclude items that we didn't touch on the permitted use table, so it'll be less to look at. And then again, you'll have the opportunity to say, hey, you know what, this is something that was excluded, so then you can send me an email and I can put that together. Because on April 28th, Tuesday, April 28th, we will have a joint meeting with City Council at 7 p.m. So this is where we'll kind of dive in and really unpack the permitted use table and discuss the recommendations that P&Z has, and then let City Council determine, what our next steps are.
So a little more than a month from now?
Correct.
On the 28th, you said 6 p.m.?
7 p.m.
7 p.m.
Yes,
All
sir.
right. Very good.
So there may be a possibility that the Planning and Zoning Commission may have a case, which we would probably do at 6:30, between 6:30 and 7, if not 6 to 7, depending on our load. But right now, as it stands,
No case?
we don't have anything.
Okay.
So there's really nothing new to present under that one, other than the announcement that we'll have our April 28th, 2026, 7 p.m. joint meeting.
And are you thinking that's going to be the most efficient way to present that to council, to just condense it down to what we're modifying?
Yes,
Okay.
I believe so. So council will have access to like those agendas too. In the event that, they want to make additional changes at that point, they'll be able to discuss that with us.
Okay, very good. Mr. Yarnell?
I didn't quite understand what it is you're going to bring to us that's been,
So the permitted use table that I gave you the last time, Okay.
when you say last time,
last meeting, I provided y'all with a permitted use table that has the recommendations that you made on there.
okay,
So
but
they're
we
like a
have,
different color.
right, but we have them in this
You currently have
base
that?
packet,
Correct.
right?
So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna condense that, I'm gonna remove items that the Planning and Zoning Commission didn't have any recommendations on, so that it's a shorter list.
Oh, okay.
Doesn't mean that they're going away, it just means that for the sake of reviewing, they won't be listed.
And that's going to be fully explained in the documentation?
For sure, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, very good. All right, I don't need to open up a public discussion on that, right?
No,
Okay.
we're good.
All right, so we'll move over to new business. Number one, discussion recommendation appointing new commissioners and alternates. Mr. Gallardo?
So I think it's just, are we looking at the right thing? It's actually going to be just the absences.
That's listed as two.
Did you pick up one from out there?
Yeah.
Okay, that's the wrong one, but I'll bring it up for you right now.
Oh, okay, I should have been looking at the one I had up on my iPad. Oh, you're right. Sorry about that. Should have.
Didn't we do this already?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, okay.
So this is the one we would. This is what we're really discussing, okay?
Okay.
So remember, the ordinance changed, and pursuant to that, we will,
In regards to absences. and-
correct, we'll vote on that.
Right.
So I did get clarification, because I know there was a little bit of confusion the last time. So for example, with these 4 absences, if you guys, and what I mean by that is if the commission feels the need that you're going to excuse all the absences, then they can be lumped together. It would be, you would break it down only if, 2 of them are excused and 2 are unexcused and so forth. Other than that, if you're one of the absentees and you're here this time, you can vote,
Okay.
okay? I know there was some confusion
So
last time.
we're going to go through this every meeting?
Yes.
This will be wow, it's a very efficient way to deal with this. All right, so from what I recall, I think they did all notified on these occasions, so. I don't know. Anyone want to make a motion on this?
I think the purpose of this would be, if someone was absent a lot and then we weren't getting notified, then this maybe would help the process to maybe replace that individual. I don't know if everyone's, notified that they weren't able to make it, great, I just don't have that information.
Yeah, that's my point, is that
So if you look-
it becomes a
see-
little cumbersome because not everyone's aware of
So,
it.
so
yeah.
basically what the ordinance says is that, if you're going to be absent, you have to notify the chair or myself, right? So if you look at the little table in the middle of the page, if you look on the right-hand side of that, I'm letting you know whether or not we were notified.
Okay.
So that should answer that.
Okay. So at this time, a month from now, let's say, just as an example, Mr. Diaz not being here, being that he didn't notify us, so you would have that notated here on a similar table.
Correct,
And then we would have to vote on that?
correct.
Okay, all right.
So there's a couple of things, obviously we're abiding by the new ordinance. And secondly, it's a mechanism for us to track.
Okay. All right, very good. So at this point, do we need to vote on this?
Correct.
Okay. All right, very good. All right. So anyone want to make a motion?
Motion to excuse based on all notifications being provided?
A second?
All right, very good. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays?
Mr. Chairman,
Huh?
perhaps after we've had a little time to go through this process, we might want to think about going to the council and ask for some revisions. This is a whole lot of work for nothing here. And there's some other things that
Yeah.
have been passed that really,
Well, I'd appreciate your
On our
advice on how to go about doing that. I think I guess there was a implication that there was some unfairness in how that was being handled. So I never intended that. As I said, I think in the last meeting, my concern has always been that there's been people that have been on this commission before that missed meetings for even up to a year, and the chairperson at that time allowed that to take place. And so I didn't want that to happen with the commission under my leadership. So that was the only issue. I don't think we really have that problem. But yeah, no, I agree with you. I agree with you.
well, previously when I was a chair, it was a very simple process. The chair was able to say they were here, they excused or not excused. They have valid reasons or whatever, and it just right on through. We've got it all tied up in a whole lot of extra cumbersome, well, I won't say nonsense, but
Yeah. I think the council was trying to deal with any concerns, and it was just, and then staff is trying to deal with it in the best way they know how, and I think we're now left with potentially spending 10 to 15 minutes on this issue, and we should begin to business. But you guys have any advice on that or any input, Mr. Perry, or no?
I would say that if you've been notified, and then it would be a very simple process. We see it on the list, that it's a simple yes or no. So I don't see it as a big time.
Okay. Okay. All right, well, we can talk about that, I guess, not one-on-one, and then decide what we might want to bring to the council at some point if we think that needs to be done, but, okay, well, all right, we voted on that, right? Okay. All
We're
right,
done
very
with
good.
that one.
So now let's move on to, so this would be, sorry. Yeah, what, are you,
I'm going to provide you with the first sheet so that you can just kind of read off of that.
yeah, I appreciate that.
So we're going to move to item 4.2.
All right. Very good. All right, so 4.2, presentation, public hearing, discussion to consider recommendation on a specific use permit request to allow a medical spa offering advanced aesthetic treatments in a B2 retail district on approximately 3.3 acre tract of land located at 6521 Bandera Road, more specifically described as CB 9925A, Block 7, Lots 9, 10. Mr. Gallardo? I like this new graphic. That's kind of cool.
So this is a request for a specific use permit for Sapphire Radiance Medical Spa. So the commission is being asked to consider a specific use permit request to allow a medical spa offering advanced aesthetic treatments. Okay, it's in the B2 zoned area, and it's on approximately 3.38 acre tract of land located at 6521 Bandera Road. So the commission's options are to approve, deny, or other, right? So the declaration is that the SUP is compatible with the surrounding zoning. So there's basically literally like similar businesses in that area, in that retail strip. So again, property is zone B2. The applicant is going to provide advanced cosmetic injectables and wellness treatments. The property's been, again, like I stated earlier, there are similar businesses in proximity to this type of business concept. The difference is that this is more of an advanced aesthetic treatment as opposed to like just permanent intradermal cosmetics, right? So based on what we see in the permitted use table, this type of business is required to submit an application for a specific use permit because they're zoned in B2, number one. Secondly, because they abut a residential area. And that'll be a little bit clearer when I show you the location map here. So if you see that, they're front Bandera Road, and behind them, you can see that there's a residential area behind them. This is an aerial view of that property. Again, 6521 Bandera Road. So their surrounding zonings, on the north, they have residential, as I stated earlier. Then on the west, it's retail district. On the east side, they have single-family dwelling district, which is, again, residential. And then on the south side, they abut a B2 retail district. So the master plan for Bandera Road South Corridor is comprised of retail and commercial users on developed lots. So this is an establishment that's going into a structure that already exists. It's compatible with the city's master plan as long as they maintain their minimum setbacks and separate requirements for adjacent residential uses. So they're going to pretty much solidify that by doing the SUP because they abut a residential neighborhood. The other part of that is, again, it's already existing, so there should be no issues with setbacks. So existing structure complies with code requirements. A building permit is required prior to construction. I will say this, currently the tenant is doing cosmetic remodeling, which means there's no actual structural changes. They're not taking down walls, they're not adding walls, they're nothing that requires a permit at this time, other than a permit for their signage, and obviously they'll apply for their certificate of occupancy before they can actually operate.
Those improvements are all internal?
Yes, correct.
And just real quick, I don't know if,
And the applicants are here. If
okay,
you guys have any questions?
very good. When we were looking at the map earlier, I know Mr. Yarnell had a question about, I guess, a discrepancy of where you saw it on the map versus.
The pin drop location. That's
Oh, the little red dot?
Yeah,
Yes. So that, when you type in the address, it gives you the whole retail strip because
Oh.
they're all connected.
yes.
So if you look at the middle building, and if you look at the very middle of that building, that's where they're going to be located. The very middle section. If you count, or let's say you start from the top, you have, well, let me see if I can get this pointer. If you start from the top, they have, they're right in here,
Okay.
right in there. You see that, Mr. Yarnell?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, very good. All right,
Any questions for the applicants or for myself?
Well, perhaps in the future, when we have this situation, we could put an X on the actual location so everybody's well aware of
Okay.
where it's located.
Yeah, I didn't elaborate too much on it, only because it's an existing property. It's not like something that's going new into an empty lot. But to your point, I mean, fair enough, we can do that. Yep.
Yep.
very good.
I have a
Another
question. You said that they're doing similar procedures now, and this is an advanced version of something they're already doing?
Yes. So the difference is that they utilize a lot of injectables. So on the permitted use table, you have intradermal treatments, right? So that anything that means that it penetrates your skin, there's, whether it's deep or narrow or shallow, anything like that is considered intradermal, right? So normally, what we've seen here in Leon Valley is, let's say someone gets their eyebrows tattooed, that's using a needle, and they're able to do that. In this case, it's more advanced in that they're going to utilize like IV treatments, injectables such as Botox and things like that. So the reason that's advanced is because they require someone that's medically trained for that. So,
okay.
so that's what we'll handle on the certificate of occupancy side. So they'll present to us a state license, they'll present to us, and actually I've already done some of the homework. So her partner who's here is a registered nurse and so has experience in this kind of treatment. So we shouldn't have any issues other than the fact that, you know, the criteria, it's on the permitted use table that an SUP is required. The fact that they butt up against the neighborhood, that's why we're here.
Well, I was concerned that if they're doing this procedure in some manner now, and this is just an advanced version of it, you know, they're getting a new update or something. Why are we putting people through all this? But you say it's a medical procedure now, which it was not before? Is that what you're saying?
So yeah, it's a little
Okay.
bit, so even if they were just doing the other version, the cosmetic eyebrows or whatever, they would still have to come for an SUP because it's on the permitted use table.
Because of the residential?
Well, because it's on the permitted use table, number one, that requires an SUP. Number two is because they're backing up to a residential area. So there's two reasons.
Okay, so not necessarily with this case, but if you're in the business of doing whatever you're doing and a new updated version comes to you, are we going to have them come back to it?
When you say updated, you mean
Well, he
the
said
medical?
advanced version, you know, there's
Yeah,
updates.
yeah, I was curious, why did you make a note of that in your presentation?
Because if you look at our permitted use table, it says permanent cosmetics, okay? So they're technically lumped together with permanent cosmetics, even though Botox is not permanent. It's
Oh, I see.
temporary. So
Okay.
that's where the advanced part comes in. The person that does the permanent cosmetics is not going to be as highly medically qualified as the person that's going to inject Botox.
Okay, so the medical thing is what triggers
Correct.
the need to come here for the SUP.
Because it's on that permitted use table.
Okay,
And by the way, we didn't touch this one.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say, I didn't
We
think we
left
did.
yeah.
We left it as is.
Okay, well, might give us some insight into some changes we might want to make before we meet next month with council, so I don't know. Could be. All right, yeah, I'd love to hear from the owners, or if you'd like to come up, and, yeah.
Good evening, gentlemen. My name is Jorge Zamora. My sister and my cousin are the ones opening the med spa. I'm managing and consulting and helping them. My sister is a registered nurse.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it, just so we get it on the record.
The registered nurse at Methodist Healthcare in the CVIC unit, and my cousin is the one that she's going to be doing the eyelashes.
Hi, good afternoon. My name's Ailitzi Cantu, and I'm more on the paramedic side of it, not so much of the Botox, because my co-nurse, she is a registered nurse.
Okay. So you're not the nurse yourself, you're, okay, all right.
No, I'm on the business side.
Business side, okay, very good.
But they do have, of course, their certifications. They've gone through their courses. We're getting our insurance. In September of last year, the Texas law changed that they requires RNs to be the ones injecting doing the IVs. Before that, it could be anybody that was trained but didn't actually go for school for being a nurse. So we are in compliance of that. And the suite that we're moving into, it's already existing, so we're just doing the remodeling, painting, making it look nice for a medical spa. We have our business plan here. Unfortunately, I only have one copy, and my printer was running out. If you guys would like to see it, or a contract with our medical director, so then the pharmacy that they supply the medications from.
Okay. You know, I'm interested is, I'm sure there's regulations when it comes to disposal of supplies that y'all use for this, and I think some of us here might know some people that live on the backside of this and how close that is to the backyards and pools that you see. I'm just curious to know if that's something that, obviously, I'm sure you have to comply with rules, state rules dealing with that, but,
Yeah, so we're gonna have a hired company that comes and collects like all the used needles and all that. That's not going
Really?
into the regular trash.
okay, good. Appreciate that. All right, very good. Anything else?
Um,
Or
No,
Do
but the-
we have any questions up here?
Are you taking over the location? And when I did a site review, I see that seems to be associated businesses already in that location. Are you taking over that business and those people are moving out, or are you just becoming part of their group, or how's this working?
What do you mean associated businesses?
Well, it's the cosmetic.
Yes.
Okay, when you pull up a frontal view,
The neighbor on the left is a hair salon, nails, so it's not medical related. And then there's 2 suites next to it are empty, and there's like a tax office and a barber
okay, so
shop.
you're moving into an empty suite.
Yes. Mhm.
Okay, I misinterpreted. Okay, thank you.
Okay, very good. All right, let's see, it is 6:57, and I'll open up the public portion of this meeting. If there's any questions. All right, doesn't look like it, so 6:57, and I'll close the public portion. Anything else from the dais? Questions? All right, I'll entertain a motion on this SUP.
I move that we accept the SUP.
Second?
Second the motion?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? All right, the ayes have it. Very good. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, so let's see, Mr. Gallardo, if you can move that presentation or the, let me, do you have that up? The agenda tomorrow?
The agenda? This one.
Yeah, that'd be great. Okay, I appreciate it, thank you. All right, so that takes us to number 3 under new business. Presentation, public hearing, and discussion to consider a recommendation on an SUP to allow an auto accessory sell and installation business in a B2 retail district on approximately 0.9 acre tract of land located at 6505 Grissom Road, more specifically described as CB 5784A, Block Lot 60, Liam Valley. Mr. Gallardo? Thank you.
We have another specific use permit request. SA Transnational Investment LLC. They will be located at 6505 Grissom Road. So the question before the commission is whether to consider allowing a specific use request for an auto accessory retail sales with installation in a B2 retail zoning district on approximately 0.89 acres of land located at 6505 Grissom Road. Again, your options are to approve, deny, or other. The declaration is that the SUP is compatible with the zone, the areas zoned around it. Again, it is compatible. So, again, B2, the applicant is going to provide retail sales of auto accessories to include installation, which is why we're here. The property holds similar businesses that promote goods and services which are appropriate for the surrounding districts. So again, if you look at the permitted use table, under B2, an SUP is required. This one, I believe that we decided to leave it alone as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Is there any extra complication because of the installation portion of, or component of this business or not?
So the reason that they're here is because of the installation portion of it,
No.
which makes them require the SUP
Okay.
in B2. Yes, sir. So this is the location map. It may look familiar to y'all. I don't know if y'all know where exactly this is. This is an
Yeah,
aerial view of
near
it.
a bunch of, that food truck lot.
Correct.
Is just
Correct.
east of there, right?
So currently, there's a church on the property that the applicant's going to utilize. And you'll see that, based on their floor plans, they're gonna make like garage doors, and the entrance will be here where I'm pointing at. So that's gonna really impact the food truck
Food
park.
trucks, uh-huh.
Yep. So that may go away.
And just, I mean, while we're on the subject, so the food trucks are there, they pay like a fee to the owner of,
They lease a space, correct? Yep.
and that space is currently owned by,
Well, now this is the new owner of the property.
okay.
So
So the new owner, yeah,
different, yeah,
He has a
a
say
different
over-
concept
right.
of what he wants to do and how he wants to utilize the property.
and the church is,
Church is currently there, but they,
but
you
that's
know,
a separate,
no, he's going to utilize the whole building.
okay, so the church would have to find, or they would find a new location.
Correct.
Okay, all right.
So again, on the north side, you have a PDD. On the west side, it's a B3 commercial district. And then on the east and south is B2 retail district. And the master plan basically says, you know, for the Bandera Road South Corridor, it's comprised of retail and commercial users on developed lots. So again, this is an existing structure, it's just going to be reutilized. Request is compatible with the city's master plan as long as the applicant maintains the minimum setbacks and separate requirements from adjacent residential uses. So technically, it's currently in compliance. However, due to the remodeling, you know, you're going to see that they'll have to be reviewed by our city inspector to just ensure that they still meet those setbacks. I personally see that there's no issues, but just, you know, that's going to be a little bit different than theirs because this applicant is actually going to do some construction.
Modifying the structure. Yeah.
And they're going to utilize an ingress-egress pattern. If I can go back real quick.
Yeah, if you can show us what,
So if you look at where my pointer is,
and what was on that lot where the food truck,
It's been
lot
empty.
is? Has it always been,
It's been empty.
was there
Yeah,
ever a foundation there?
I don't think
No?
anything's ever been built there. But you're going to see that they'll use these two entrances as ingress-egress, but then they'll have to kind of loop around to come in here because this is where the garage door is going to be. So, a little bit different, a little bit more, you know, review by our city inspector and some hurdles that they have to get over.
Any issue with the trees or anything like that? Are they foreseeing that?
So we'll get to that point
Okay,
once it's
we're
in
not
an
there yet.
application and whether or
Yeah.
not a tree mitigation will be.
Okay.
But I'm assuming that they might be able to work through that.
Around that,
Because
yeah.
if you look at the two big ones, you know, they actually can fit between there and it may be, you know, appropriate for them to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Yarnell?
Did you say they're going to enter the building on the end and put overhead doors? Or I didn't quite
Yes.
understand what you said.
Yes, sir, right in here.
Okay. So there will be space there for access, and they possibly will not need to remove all of the food trucks.
Well, you know, I can't speak on behalf of the owner, but from what I last heard, that was the plan,
That was
to
the
get
plan.
rid of the.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he's in the process of purchasing this property, or it hasn't been finalized and he's
He's purchased it.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Based on
And
my research, he's already like in
Or she.
BCAT as the owner.
Okay, and I assume the applicant is here?
We have the general contractor for the
Okay,
applicant here, if you
very
guys
good.
have any questions on that.
The land that is the PDD,
You wanna
is
turn
it
on-
currently undeveloped?
Yep. Yeah, there's nothing on there.
And is there a plan already for it to
Yes,
be
sir.
housing?
Yep. Multifamily.
So that would maybe be my main, if there's an issue with it being adjacent to housing, if that would be an issue or not.
So under current conditions, because there is no housing there,
Yeah,
that's not an issue.
That's, yeah, this
Now,
kind of
and the other thing
supersedes
to
that.
remember, is the PDD. So, you know, once that development agreement is finalized or, you know, basically, I don't know how to put this slightly, but basically setbacks kind of go out the window because those are specific to the project. So,
Okay. Very good. Any other questions? I'd like to hear from the planner, architect. Yeah, okay.
Eric?
My name is Marek Szyszynski. I'm the general contractor representing both the owner and the tenant, and the new tenant. So this is the business that it's already exists already. They just have to move, the lease is up, and they got the agreement with this owner, and they just want to have car accessories like car alarms, car stereo, but they do installations. So before we even got excited, we spoke with Michael, and he says, everything is good for sales, but not for installation. That's why we are here.
So when you say installations, that's not mechanical work, that's accessories that you're adding to the vehicle?
Just the car radio and alarms.
So probably not a lot of power tools and?
No. Actually, everything is going to be done inside. That's why we have those power door, roll-up doors, that there will be no work done outside. They're just going to go coming in. All the area is going to be air-conditioned. So there's going to be no heavy tools, nothing like that.
So mainly alarms and car stereos?
Just that.
Okay.
Just that.
No like off-road accessories for like?
No tire change.
Okay. Anything else? Any other questions? And I know it's probably not necessarily pertinent, but I think, I don't know how many people have been to that food truck park, but obviously that would go away, that y'all aren't in talks with them to try to keep that there in any way, right?
They're gonna be gone within a couple of months.
Okay.
I believe he already told everybody to move out. And owner is not very happy with what's going on over there too.
When you say the owner, the current owner that's leasing that area to the food trucks?
The owner of the new owner. The owner is the same owner of the building and the empty lot. So he's not very happy what's going on over there. So he's going to be very happy to get a new tenant that's going to take over the whole building, and he's going to have a good reason to get rid of those trucks.
Okay. Do you know, has there been, I've been there once or twice, and are you aware of what issues there was, or?
Yeah, just too many of them.
Okay, all right.
Supposed to be one or two, and then it grew so quick, out of control.
There's about 7 or 8 of them, huh?
Correct.
Yeah.
It's probably more than that,
Yeah, so
Yeah.
15 or 20 or 15?
I don't know how many, plenty.
Okay. Interesting. All right. So let's see, it is 7:10, and I'll open up the public portion of this meeting if there's any questions. All right, it is 7:10, and I'll close the public portion, and I'll entertain a motion on this SUP.
I move that we accept the SUP.
A second?
Very good. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? Ayes have it. Very good. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. All right, let's see, and where are we at? Was that our last item? Thank you. Appreciate you coming. Thank you.
So do you think the food trucks will just find another place to congregate?
I'll be honest with you, it's mostly Latin American trucks, like Central American and Caribbean, some really good food. The times I've been there, really good food, but I don't know, the city at different points has talked about trying to host, like a portion of the park, dedicating it to food trucks. I'm sure there's a lot of complications with all that, and
Hard to,
personally, I'm not aware of any issues. That's not to say there wasn't, but
Maybe they leased it to one individual and then has brought in others.
it seemed like that's what he was getting at.
Yeah, the owner seemed not to be happy about the
Yeah.
expansion or the flourishing of the, yeah.
Yeah, and it would get pretty lively on weekend. mainly weekend nights, but even some weekdays, you know, so anyways. All right, very good. Anything else for, I think
I
we've
do
just,
have one announcement.
okay.
So going forward, you know, as you see, we just had a small, you know, group of people that came in. It's usually real
Yeah.
minimal.
True.
So what we want to do is we want to utilize the door that's closest to Bandera and Alverde here in the corner. And I think that way we only need one police officer to let people in and out. In the event that it's ever going to be a topic that's maybe a little controversial, we anticipate a larger crowd, then we'll open it up like we have in the past. But going forward, we like to kind of utilize just this door right here to my left.
Well, yeah, if that saves the city money,
Yep.
resources, stuff like that. Yeah, are we at the point where we feel like we need to have security even for this meeting?
Well,
with this?
we typically like to start out with, you know, having them here in the door, you know, until we're pretty much set up. But we generally will anticipate utilizing a police officer. But
Yeah, I
again,
just hate to use those kind of resources when, I mean, they can be better utilized, but yeah, no, I understand,
it's a
but
safety protocol,
Yeah.
so we'll definitely continue to do that. But like I said, you know,
Around your building,
yeah,
yeah,
don't have a security
oh,
person.
yeah.
Stops
yeah.
All right, so just plan on entering from here, like the old days, which
Yeah.
we used to do at council meetings back in the day, I guess,
Yeah.
but yeah. All right,
Okay.
very good. It is 7:13 and I'll adjourn this meeting. Thank you.
Anything else? June 23rd. June 23rd, I will not be here.
No, I appreciate it.
You know, I'll send an email.
And the summer gets a little weird, because I think normally we don't meet 1 month in the summer, and it might be June.
Okay, well,
Because,
let you know that.
because so many people are out of, you know, school lets out, late May. And